Assalamualaikum and good morning all 1A students. Okay, apa khabar semua? Cikgu harap semua sihat dan telah pun bersedia dengan buku teks, buku rujukan dan buku nota masing-masing. Okay, jadi hari ini kita akan cuba menghabiskan topik bab 4 iaitu yang terakhir ialah berkenaan dengan plant reproduction iaitu pembiakan tumbuhan. Okay, so plant need to reproduce to ensure their survival, same as human and animals. They have to be replaced with new organisms. Okay, so first of all, we're going to learn about the structure and function of each part of a flower. Okay, so let's see the first one. This is the male reproduction. Okay, male reproductive organ is in this part. Okay, SAF. Okay, stamen consists of anther and filament. Okay, so male reproductive organ is stamen. Stamen consists of anther and filament. Okay, boleh ingat AF. Ingat AF, ingat anther and filament. So anther ni ialah the bunga dan filament ni yang memegang the bunga. And then the female reproductive organ is pistil. So pistil consists of stigma, style and ovary. And one more is ovule. Okay, so pistil consists of stigma, style, ovary and ovule. Okay, alright, so boleh hafal pistil ni terdiri daripada S, S, O and O. Okay, just now stamen kita ingat AF, ini jantan, yang ni organ betina. Pistil ingat S, S, O, O. Okay, next one. Alright, ni tadi cikgu dah sebut dah. Male reproductive organ and female reproductive organ. Next one. Okay, we're going to learn about petal. Petal ni kelopak dia usually colourful to attract insects and animals. Biasanya dia berwarna cerah dan berwarna-warni untuk menarik perhatian haiwan. Okay, so next one is sepal. Ni sepal ni bahagian luar ni to protect flower during the bud stage. Okay, jadi untuk melindungi bunga ketika dalam proses kuntum, dalam stage kuntum. Okay, so this is the longitudinal section of a flower, keratan rentas bagi bunga. Jadi ni adalah gambarnya, anda boleh lihat. Okay, this one is the male reproductive organ, anther and filament. And then for female reproductive organ, we have stigma, style, ovary, and this one is ovule. Okay, next one we will learn about pollination, pendebungaan ya. So pollination is a process of transferring matched pollen grains from anther to stigma. Jadi pendebungaan ni adalah satu proses untuk menghantar biji benih daripada anther ke stigma, daripada bahagian pembiakan jantan iaitu anther, bunga ni, ke bahagian pembiakan betina iaitu stigma. Atas ni stigma. Okay, ni pollen ni biji benih. Bahagian atas ni ialah bunga. Kita panggil kawasan ni anther. Okey. So ini ialah akan berlaku sekiranya ada haiwan pembawa biji benih. Okey. So matured anther, okey. Anther yang matang will burst, dia akan pecah and spread the pollen grains. Some might fall on soil, setengahnya jatuh di atas tanah. Some are brought by pollinating agents to the stigma. Okay, setengah biji benih akan dibawa oleh ejen pendemungaan, iaitu dalam ni contohnya lebah, kepada stigma. So gambar kita mulakan di bahagian kiri. Bee visiting flower for nutrition, which are nectaries and pollen. So lebah dia akan pergi ke bunga-bunga untuk mendapatkan madunya. Kemudian dia akan terbang. Bee flies to next flower with pollen stuck to. Okay, and then lebah ni dia akan pergi ke bunga yang lain. So bee rubbing of pollen on the stigma leading to fertilization. So tadi ni kat sini lebah ni ada bunga yang melekat di badannya. The pollen stuck to its body. So seterusnya lebah ni dia akan meninggalkan biji benih ke stigma ni, jadi menyebabkan persenyawaan. Okay, menyebabkan berlakunya fertilization. So pollination, we have two types of pollination. The first one is self-pollination and the second one is cross-pollination. Okay, the first one we will learn about self-pollination. So self-pollination, what will happen is that the pollen grain transferred to the stigma of the same flower. Okay, biji benih tu dia akan dihantar ke stigma bagi bunga yang sama. So the pollen grain transferred to the stigma of, or the pollen grain transferred to the stigma of another flower of the same plant. So self-pollination ni akan berlaku, pendemungaan sendiri akan berlaku sekiranya persenyawaan atau pendemungaan itu berlaku bagi pokok yang sama. Sama ada bunga yang sama, di dalam bunga yang sama, atau dari bunga ke bunga yang lain bagi pokok yang sama. Dari satu bunga ke bunga yang lain bagi pokok yang sama. Okay. So second one, cross-pollination. So for cross-pollination, the pollen grain transferred to the stigma of another flower. So different plant of the same species. Okay, jadi bagi cross-pollination, persenyawaan, pendemungaan ni berlaku bagi pokok yang lain-lain. Okay, tetapi spesies pokok yang sama. Biasanya akan dibawa oleh ejen pendemungaan. Contoh dalam gambar ni lebah. Okay, next one, we will learn about the agents. Okay, pollination agents. How pollen grains from a plant get transferred from the anther to the stigma. Okay, so dalam gambar ni kita lihat ejen pendemungaannya ialah lebah dan rama-rama. Okay, bee and butterflies. Right, so okay, the steps. Number one, pollen grains from another from anther, flower A. Okay, sticks on the body of the insect. Dia akan melekat pada badan lebah ni ataupun badan rama-rama. So the pollen grain carried by the insect are transferred to the stigma from flower B. Okay, jadi biji benih dibawa daripada haiwan-haiwan ini, serangga ini, dipindahkan ke stigma, iaitu organ pembiakan betina bagi pokok yang lain tapi spesies sama. Okay, ini berlaku bagi cross pollination. So next one, is about pollination agents. Okay, we have two types of agents. Number one is animals and insects. Okay, what will happen is that the pollen grain will stick on the body when insects suck its nectar. So the characteristic of the flower, number one, it will have big and colorful petal, have nectar or smell nice, and it will have rough and sticky pollen grain. Okay, so example like durian, rambutan, okay, and then sunflower. This one is for animals and insects. Okay, second agent is wind. Okay, so the grain will be blown by the wind and then it reaches the stigma of another flower. So the characteristic of the flower, it will have white or pale petal, long and furry stigma, plenty of small, smooth and light pollen grains, and it will have long filament and style. Okay, so examples of the flowers are corn, grass, okay, padi and lalang. Okay, kalau lihat lebih kurang sama jenis pokoknya yang dibawa oleh angin ya. So the advantage of cross pollination, the first one is to have new varieties of plants, good quality seeds, more resistant to pests and disease, and healthier plants which can adapt better to change in the environment. Okay, so innovation of cross-pollination in agriculture. Examples like palm oil. Okay, so palm oil, the parent plants are Piscifera indura. It will get a hybrid plant which is Tenera. Okay, so the characteristics of hybrid plant is to have more fruits and flesh and thinner shell. Okay, the second example is papaya. Subang 6 and Sunrise Solo are the parent plants. Okay, dua ni bergabung. Dia dapat hybrid plant exotica. And then pokok jagung, corn. The parent plants are sweet corn from Taiwan. It will combine with the sweet corn from Mexico. We will get mas madu, which are sweeter, bigger, higher and higher resistance. Okay, next one is the paddy. Siam 29 plus Pavifone, we will get Malinja. Okay, next one. Next one is the fertilization process. Okay, proses persenyawaan. So definition: male gamete carried by the pollen fuse with the female gamete in the ovule. Okay, so the steps are: number one, pollen grain fall onto the stigma. Biji benih jatuh pada stigma, and the pollen tube carried male gamete towards the ovary. Yang ni dia akan memanjang pergi ke bawah towards the ovary. So pollen tube, biji benih itu tadi, dia akan penetrate the ovule. Dia akan bergabung dengan ovule. So male gamete fuse with the female gamete, dia akan bergabung. Gamete-gamete ni akan bergabung. Dan berlakulah persenyawaan. Okay. Nanti cikgu akan sambung untuk next about the seed and their functions. Okay, jangan lupa buat nota pendek berkenaan dengan topik ni dalam buku nota masing-masing. Okay, thank you.